All right, it's 11:02, so we're going to get started. Hello, JPR Department, and welcome to JPR Day 2022. My name is Taylor Aldape. I am a fourth-year PR Public Relations student, and I'm your host for Session 2, A Winning Mindset, How to Succeed in Sports and Entertainment. My partner, Caitlin, is here with us as well, and she'll be monitoring during our session. For this session, we'll be discussing a winning career in sports and entertainment and how it starts with a winning mindset. The panelists will talk about how they built their successful careers in the business, what they learned along the way, and what we can do to land jobs like theirs. We have an amazing all-star lineup today with us. We have Christina Poncher. Christina is a reporter and a host for Top Rock Boxing on ESPN. Next, we have Michael Altieri. He's the Senior Vice President and Marketing for the LA Kings. But certainly not least, we have Mark Altieri, his brother, joining with us, who is a co-founder of the brand app. Like I mentioned earlier, Caitlin will be looking over the chat, so please, any JPR students, leave any questions you have for our speakers during the session, and we'll answer those during the Q&A, which is at the end. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Can each of you introduce yourself? We'll start with Christina. Can you please tell the JPR students more about the positions you hold, your connection to Cal State Long Beach, and what got you started in the industry?
Sure. Thank you, Taylor, and everybody for having me. Like Taylor said, my name is Christina Poncher. I graduated from Long Beach State in 2008. I was a journalism major with my option in broadcasting, and I did my minor in communications. I think Long Beach State helped set me up perfectly for my career, as did my internship that I took during my time at Long Beach State, which we'll get into more of later. But I am currently the only female play-by-play in the sport of boxing, both nationally and internationally, but started off as a reporter in Southern California, worked my way up, and now currently doing boxing play-by-play for Top Rank, Sky Sports in the UK, and ESPN.
Thank you so much, Christina, for introducing yourself. Mark, can you go next?
Sure. Hey, everybody, I'm Mark Altieri, and I am a co-founder at the Brand Amp. We're an integrated marketing agency. So we do public relations, social media, influencer marketing, video content, and what's our last one? Events and promotions. And I oversee half of our PR department, and I run and oversee our content and video production department. And I kind of serve as a creative director at the agency. I was a 97 major and graduate at Cal State Long Beach. My minor was marketing, and my passion is just getting to be creative in what we do, whether it's PR ideas and stunts or marketing campaigns or video concepts. I just love the creative kind of left brain side of things, and love what I do.
Thank you, Mark. Michael?
Hi, Taylor. Thanks. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with everyone here today and to join Mark and Christina. Mike Altieri, been with the LA Kings since 1995, graduated from Cal State Long Beach in 91. I majored in communications with a minor in PR. That time was a great experience for me as I had gone back to school to pursue a career in sports. And my time at the school gave me confidence in my journalistic abilities, PR abilities, and communication sides of things, and really set the stage and gave me the fundamentals I needed to be successful. Been with the Kings now this is my 27th year currently. Started out in PR, specific to communications, PR, everything interface with the team, management, coaching, and has slowly evolved into a role now where I'm heading up basically all consumable content for the Kings. Anything you can experience as a Kings fan, whether it be the live experience, our marketing, communications, broadcast, all funnels up through me currently. So excited to be here. Thanks.
Thank you all for introducing yourself. You all have such an amazing resume and successful careers in the sports and entertainment. So we're all excited to hear anything you have to give to the students. So now I'm going to be asking each of you questions, but if you have like anything you want to chime in, just go ahead and feel free to. So, but for this question, I'm going to go ahead and start with Mark. Sports and entertainment are notoriously competitive and tough fields. What qualities do you look for when hiring new talent for your teams?
Good question. Definitely, hopefully some information here that can help everybody, because it really, a lot of it comes down to first impressions and, the interviews and, the statement you make for yourself. For me, a lot of the people that we're looking to hire, and I don't care if it's PR position, social media position, video content position, I am looking for natural communication skills. I'm not a big resume guy. I want to meet somebody. I want to get their vibe. And I want to really read their personality and really get an idea of their personal traits, the stuff their mom and dad gave them. So for me, I'm looking, do you have really natural communication skills? Are you comfortable and confident when you interview with me? Are you dynamic and animated in the way you phrase things? I think that's a really key thing for me. I want to see, I can kind of tell through personality, how animated, dynamic, creative, unique a person is. Second, I want to find passion. I want to see somebody that's excited at the notion of doing what they're trying to do. I want that to come through. So I want people to be excited and passionate about being in front of me for an interview and talking about the craft. And then the last thing for me is work ethic and kind of looking for an old school mentality. And I don't want to sound like the old curmudgeon, but generationally, things have changed a lot, and I think that I grew up and the really key traits were grinding and the old adage, paying your dues. And I really want to see people that I can tell have a motor, that they're willing to go above and beyond the call, and they're not looking for something on the way in, that they're willing to come in and they're willing to just grind it out, be a pack mule and just take on work over and above what's expected. That's when rewards are given, in my opinion. That's when you earn things. Is a lot of people come in and, I love it. I love modern encouraging parenting for anybody who's going to instill in their children and in people that they're awesome. But I like humility. It's a trait that I look for in people, to come in the door and just say, hey, listen, I'll take what you give me and I'll over deliver, knowing that old school ethic, that ability to grind and pay your dues is going to be rewarded. And at the Brand Amp, we treat people like that, like gold. When we see that willingness to do more, people asking for more, hey, what else can I be doing for you? Those are people that rise quickly in our organization. So I'm really looking for kind of that no nonsense, old school stuff. Might surprise you that I haven't mentioned technical stuff related to PR or these types of things. My attitude is, that's your ticket into the show, right? Anybody can attain that. You go to school, you do the work, you should be able to understand that acumen and speak to it and implement it well. What I'm looking for is stuff that you don't read in a book. And again, it's all about personal character and your passion for what you want to be doing, and your ability and desire to do what you've got to do to be great.
Thank you, Mark. So my next question, I'm going to go, this again is for all of you, but I'm going to start with Christina. What is the most important thing students who want to enter the sports and entertainment industry can do right now to improve their prospects?
From a student's perspective, and speaking from my own personal experience, I think the most important thing as far as the broadcast industry is concerned is trying to get an internship. Try to get that hands-on experience while you're in school, while you can get school credit for it, and make those connections with people. And, just like Mark said, let them see your work ethic and your drive and your desire to learn as much as you can during that internship. Have that yes mentality, whether it's, the old school, like getting coffee or making copies, to, running cable, to booking porter potties, whatever the case may be. Do whatever you can to kind of show them your work ethic and your dynamic, so that when you do graduate, you can kind of circle back with those people, and hopefully you've made an imprint to where they remember you, to where it can possibly lead to, if not a job, a letter of recommendation, or an interview with somebody that may be better suited for you. So I think an internship by far is the most important thing that students can do, but also talk to people, talk to your network, talk to family, talk to friends. I got my internship from the restaurant that I worked at And I was always talking about sports, and we had sports on our TV. And I had a customer like, wow, you really know a lot about sports. And I'm like, yeah, I do. Like, this is my passion. This is what I want to do. And have you ever had an internship? No, but I'm looking for one. Well, here's my card. And then he worked for the Lakers PR department at the time, or the Clippers PR department. And, you know, just from there, I worked my way to a internship with Fox Sports West, who was at the time, and Prime Ticket was the Lakers and Clippers broadcast partner. So talking about what you want to do, being passionate about what you want to do, getting an internship, and then keeping up to date with the headlines, keeping up to date with the news, keeping up to date with the field that you're passionate about, whether particularly if it's sports or it's news, so that when you do get the opportunities, you don't have to study and rack your brain about things that are going on that you're typically going to be asked in an interview, or and keep up with your social media as well. I think developing a presence there, going out to different places and starting to get reps in on a resume reel and building those things. I mean, some of the reporters and hosts today, as I'm sure Michael can attest to, are people that have just started building their own platforms on their own social media and their own YouTube. It's not like you have to have a journalism degree anymore to be an in-arena host or an on-camera host for a team or a reporter. It's someone that's charismatic in front of the camera, has knowledge, and is able to build their own platform and following as well. So I think those are all things right now that you don't need to have a degree to be able to do.
Yeah, I'll just second that, because internships, they're just, that was the critical path for me. Michael knows. And I would say, look for windows of opportunity. Michael was already walking the path with Forum Sports when I was in school. I was able to make contacts through Michael, and then obviously through Emma, who was an incredible mentor for me. And in school, I had an internship at Hill and Knowlton, one of the biggest PR agencies in the world, and at the Lakers at the time. And lo and behold, the day I graduated, I had a full-time job. My first day at Hill and Knowlton was the day after graduation.
Wow.
So I think you can't take for granted your career starts now. And like Christina said, getting into internships and getting into the workflow before you graduate, it's a huge, huge difference.
Yeah, I'll finally chime in on there as well. It'll be the same message, but yeah, it's the time to hustle in the beginning for sure, and maximize every opportunity you can to communicate with people in the industry. For one, I get outreach from students all the time who just want to have an informational interview. They're not asking for a job, and I give them that time. I just, because I remember what it was like, and I've made that commitment in my career to give people that time, even if it's 15 minutes just on a video chat like this, and someone reaches out and is willing to give me time, set up a time, stick to it, and I'll give them 15 minutes of my time to give them some advice, and there's a new relationship. Now, that's not going to happen with everybody, but if you reach out to 10 people in the industry, you might get 2 hits, and then that's going to give you 2 relationships you didn't have. Also seeking any way to get experience. Internships are definitely great, but there's a lot more red tape to go through these days to get internships. And so even part-time opportunities with us, with live events and Kings games, we have so many part-time positions at games. A good example is Carlin Bathe, who's now our current host and reporter for LA Kings games. She started out on the LA Kings ice crew, and she was an ice crew member, had just a terrific personality and energy. She then became an in-arena host, like Christina was talking about, hosting at all of our games, and became a personality with all the fans at games, and then started doing her own content on social media. And then we had an opportunity open up for a reporter / host. Boom, she gets that opportunity. So, but she hustled the whole way and is well-deserved of where she's at now.
Oh, that's an amazing story. So we're definitely, that kind of leads into my next question. You know, we're definitely taught it's all about who you know in this industry. What are other ways that you guys think that students can start to build their networks in this industry if they just don't already have the connections? Christina, if you want to start.
I kind of feel like the last question, this question somewhat go together, because making those connections through an internship, applying, looking for internships, also, you know, reaching out to people. Social media has made it so much easier for people to have direct access to contacts that maybe before they would have never been able to reach out to. And I'm not saying that there's probably not, with some of these people, hundreds of messages in their inbox, but I feel like it's always important to put your message out there, or your desires to say, hey, if I can even just have an email back and forth Q&A, or if I can set up a conversation with you just to pick your brain with other people that are in the position that you want to be in. I think that's a good way to work your way in and to set up those relationships as well. Just make sure that you're direct with what you're looking for. I think even now it's important, hey, I'm a student. This is what I'm studying. This is what I'm looking for. I'm super driven. You're in a position that I want to be in. If I could just have a few minutes of your time just to pick your brain, and I have some questions already prepared, because time is of the essence, especially for professionals. And if you leave it open-ended or you need an hour of their time, you're unlikely to get as much of a response, I feel like. So if you kind of say, hey, if I can get 10 minutes of your time, 15 minutes of your time, or get some tape together and try to, send it, use your professors, or send it to, different people online. Here's a link to my work. Let me know what you think. I'm working on this X, Y, and Z. Having your ducks in a row before you try to make those contacts will really help, I think, garner a better response from people that you're trying to network with.
Thank you, Christina. Mark, Michael, do any of you want to add anything else?
I would just go ahead, Mark.
I was just going to say, Christina's right. It really is a follow through of the previous question, and what we were talking about, that, you don't know how many times I encourage people to reach out directly to me or through the department. The Brand Amp works with Cal State Long Beach and Cal State Fullerton on internships, and how few people actually take that initiative often blows my mind. You'd be surprised if you just step up and take the initiative. And so many, I'd say 90% of the people that intern with us obtain full-time jobs through that. So, it's just about taking initiative and, having the courage and the drive to just get in front of people, like Christina said, and be focused and specific, and that'll shine through to people. It'll make an impression.
The other thing I'll suggest too is I see Denise Ng here had a comment that she searched several websites such as Dodgers, Lakers, and Clippers looking for internships, but didn't see anything available. What I would suggest to do too is when you're on those websites, look at the front office structures. Go in and you can actually look at the front office, and you'll see how organizations are laid out, all departments and the leaders in each department, and the names are right there. Now you have to figure out find a way to source their email. A lot of times, like with me, it's first initial last name at lakings.com. It's not that hard. So a lot of organizations have that. If identify somebody that has a position you think you'd like to strive or aspire to be, and try to connect and reach out through email or through communication platforms. So like Christina touched on, it's a lot easier to engage with people now through social media and through email. So that'd be one suggestion I would have.
And to Mike's, if I can just double back on that too, looking up the different positions and things like that. I took a position as an intern, but then took a paid position after I graduated in the operations department. I had no desire to work in operations, but I knew it was my way to get my foot in the door and for people to see my work ethic and what I did. So I was booking crew, booking porta potties. I'd volunteer to run cable. I'd volunteer to help set up cameras, whatever I could, so that they could see my work ethic. I could be around the bosses and be around people that I needed to be on, because I knew if I could just get my foot in the door and they could see my passion, see what I wanted to do, that would lead to opportunities. So don't hesitate to perhaps take a position or an opportunity that maybe is not exactly what you want to do, but it's a way for you to get your foot in the door and get recognized, so that when eventually the opportunity does present itself, you already have made those contacts and that connection. So that ask to maybe shadow another talent, or that ask to go out on a shoot, is like a no-brainer for them, because they trust you, because they've seen what you can do in another capacity. So don't just limit yourself to only one position or one way to get your foot in the door.
Yeah, the last thing I'll add there, and it's riffs off of what you just said, is it's one thing to be focused and say, all right, I want to do this for a living for this organization, and this is exactly what I want to do. Okay, that's great. All right. But I often, I found, and I think it's valuable to be malleable, flexible with your plan. Like she said, get in the fishbowl you want to be in. That should be your first priority, is an industry or a specific type of realm that will be fulfilling for you every day you get up to go to work. And then that's job one, is to get into an area is going to really make you feel good and you're going to enjoy. From there, let the path take you where it takes you. You just don't know which window of opportunity is going to be open. It may not be the one you've got your crosshairs on. And if your path isn't too narrow, you can miss opportunities that might have led you to things that, you know, you're not Nostradamus, right? Like you're not like a psychic. You don't know where it's going to go. Let life lead you and let things bend and twist and turn. You may find yourself somewhere you didn't expect to be, but far greater than you expected and imagined. So I say be malleable and let things develop.
Thank you all. So this next question is for Michael. You mentioned earlier that you've been with the LA Kings for 27 seasons, which is completely unheard of these days. To what do you attribute to your longevity working for this team?
I guess if I could hone in on one thing, it would be I've always focused on, from day one, I've always focused on building trust. And I feel the most successful way to build trust with other individuals is to give them the confidence that your priority is to contribute to their success. And so in any role I've served here at the organization, I've worked for 3 CEOs, 4 presidents, 4 general managers, countless head coaches. I've always taken that approach that I'm here to help you be successful. And I think if you help others be successful, you will be successful long term. So I would say building that trust and getting people to have a confidence in you. And then what that ends up is turning into is a belief in you to give you opportunity, I think is critical.
That's huge, Michael. And I think that, you know, it's funny, this is going to sound a little crass, but I think that selflessness and the desire to help others is a selfish act. You should look at it that way. And the reason is this: that's where that's where rewards come back to you. Every single person you invest of yourself or give of yourself, make a sacrifice for, and try to help, that is going to develop, that's going to come back to you. That person's going to do something for you. The karma, just the vibe it creates for you, will end up generating positive opportunities for you. So you got to look at that generosity, that sacrifice, and that selflessness as almost a selfish and strategic act, because it will yield better things for you. And at the same time, you're helping other people big time. So it's got a win-win.
Thank you. Christina, do you want to add anything to what attribute to your longevity in the career in the sports world?
I think for me, it's just been doing the work, putting in the work, and making sure that you don't cut corners, and also the way that you carry yourself, the relationships that you build, the reputation that you have is really important. Our industry and getting interviews and opportunities with these people, there's 50 other media members there. Why should I want to talk to you? Or why should I want to give you the exclusive? Or why would I open up and trust you? And that's part of that comes from just building that experience and building those relationships. And I think as a woman in a male-dominated industry, how you carry yourself is really important. And we almost have to work harder than our male counterparts do, simply because how can I phrase this in the most, it's expected for a man to be in those positions. It's not always expected for a woman. So if you're there, sometimes they assume that it's either because you know somebody, you're in a relationship with somebody, you're attractive, or someone's taking a chance on you. It's not always because you've earned the right to be there. So as long as you put in the work and you prove them otherwise, I think you can definitely have longevity in any, and that's not only in sports, but I think that's just in whatever career you choose in general.
Yes, that's true. So if anyone didn't hear, because this question is also for Christina. Christina has made his sports history and was a part of the first all-female broadcasting team for boxing. Christina, what do you think the sports industry needs to improve on in order to be more inclusive to women?
Well, I mean, I think whatever we're doing right now, I can't speak for the entire sports world, but it's working because you have more women in positions anywhere from play-by-play to a reporter, more so now than ever before. You have some simulcast during different games where you have an all-woman broadcast that you can listen to. So I think that we're headed in the right direction. I just think that it's important to build a strong foundation. I think it's important to put in the work, carry yourself in a way that is professional, build your social media, give them something to see that shows the substance and the knowledge and the credibility that you possess. And, don't take no for an answer right away. And don't doubt yourself. Have confidence. I mean, sometimes you got to fake it till you make it, in the sense of, yeah, I can do this. Even if, the first time I got a play-by-play opportunity, I literally drafted the email declining the opportunity because I did not feel that I was ready. And after leaving it as a draft and not responding and talking to a few people close to me, talking to my husband, he's like, are you kidding me? Do you know what this could do for you, for the future of, our kids being able to see their mom in this position, for all the little girls that grew up listening to, like me, Vin Scully and Chick Hearn, and I mean, just amazing males, but like, you get the opportunity to start that. It's like, you better do this. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't think I was quite ready, but you know what? I'm like, let me just take a chance and let me just go with it. If they're approaching me with the opportunity, then they must see something in me, even if I don't see it in myself. So I went with it, and, years later, here I am. But trusting your gut and just going for it and taking those opportunities when they're given, I think can really help you as a woman advance in this industry.
Thank you so much for that answer. My next question is for Mark. With working with big corporations such as Red Bull, Wilson, and Mattel, and big personalities like athletes and celebrities presents its own challenges, what are some things you've encountered while working with these high-profile clients that maybe weren't addressed in the classroom?
Yeah, I number one, I got a great opportunity early on in my career working at the Lakers for 2 seasons. I was there the first season that Shaq and Kobe were there. And lo and behold, I got assigned by my good old friend, John Black, to Shaquille O'Neal's locker for pregame and postgame. So I got to be around Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, at the time, he was about as big a star as there was in sports. He continues to be a mega star to this day. And so being around these athletes, that was really helpful for me, because for me, whether I'm talking, with athletes, it's 2 different things. Corporations is one thing, athletes is another, or celebrities. With athletes and celebrities, number one, you got to act like you've been there. If you're treating them like an athlete and a celebrity, I think you fall into a trap where you're probably like 99.9% of the other people they deal with, being coddled, being catered to. And in the situations I'm in, I'm working with athletes. They're a tool for me. They're typically been hired as a spokesperson or to attend an event. They have a job to do, and my job is to make sure they do it. So when I'm getting in with them, I'm a professional. I don't care who it is. I don't want an autograph. I don't want a picture with them. I have a job to do, and they do too. And I'm going to make sure they do. There's a story that a lot of my coworkers who've worked with me over the years tell. Representing DirecTV for 16 years, I worked with the Mannings every year and got to know them well. But in year 1, their agent, great guy, Alan Zucker from IMG, we're on a call, and the Mannings were on the call too. And it was a briefing. I was telling them exactly what they had to do. We were going over messaging and message delivery for media tours we were going to be booking for them. And Alan started, putting all these parameters. Oh, well, we can't do this and we won't do this. And none of this stuff was in the language of their contract. I'd read it. And I remember saying, all due respect to Peyton and Eli, I said, but for the next week and a half, they're like plumbers for me. I am hiring them to do a job. And if they don't fix the plumbing, they have failed me. And that's all I'm concerned with. I said, so as much as I want to cater to you and make it real easy for them, I said, that's not the job. They have a bar they need to hit. This is what the bar is. And I'm expecting them to hit it. And I'll never forget, like to this day, that sentence, I run into Alan Zucker, every few years, and it's like, oh, hey, it's the plumber guy. But it's a point, right? Like if you sit there and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm dealing with Peyton Manning. I've always wanted to meet him, right? No, kiss of death. You don't want to do that. And then with corporations and clients that are VPs of marketing at corporations. I deal with many, right? And I've done it hundreds of them. And my big thing is be the alpha, be bigger than them or as big as them. They come in, and if you're shrinking and you're not propped up and confident and running the show, it's a bad thing. You know, they're hiring you and they are expecting you to be a specialist and an expert. And so you just have to kind of have an air about you, a confidence, to be willing to kind of operate as at a level that's as high as they're at. So you got to kind of portray that kind of alpha vibe of being in control, of being the true expert in the room. And you gain respect instantly. And that includes being willing to tell them things they don't want to hear. As an agency person, that's my job, is to give unbridled, transparent counsel. A lot of times clients, oh, I want to do this, and they're expecting to get on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, or they've got these grandiose visions of what should happen. Right out of the gate, I'm going to nip that stuff in the bud, and I'm going to tell them why that's not going to happen. But then I'm going to tell them what could happen. Or if they want that, I'm going to tell them how they need to get that. And it may not be what they're planning to do, or it may not be, may not be investing enough money in something to actually make that outcome happen. And I'm going to give them the straight scoop. So it's just about being confident, and treating them, the same way, that you're the pro, you're the expert, you know your craft, and you're going to guide them the way you need to.
Thank you, Mark. So next is for Michael. Can you talk about a time in your career as a young professional when you had a difficult moment and what you did to overcome it?
Sure. So obviously with 20 some years here, I've had numerous challenges. But I would probably say the most difficult thing that happened to me in my career turned out to be probably the best thing that ever happened to me. And I was about 10 years into my job. I was running PR for the Kings, traveling with the team every day, and I was in the vacuum of the team. And really, it's all that matters when you're in that vacuum. You're just so focused on the players, the coaches, management, winning and losing, all the things that come with that. And we had a change in management, and a new general manager took over, and he and I didn't see eye to eye. And he immediately began alienating me. He immediately didn't have my trust, and which I spoke about earlier, and he and I had a big disagreement on something philosophical, and he just shut me out, stopped talking to me. And this was the general manager of the team. So for the next 2 years, he didn't talk to me, and I had to do my job with a general manager and leader who was not even engaging with me or acknowledging that I was even there. So I thought I was going to get fired. I thought I was done. Luckily, I had a lot of equity there with other people in the organization, and I began to invest myself into the business and into the business side of the organization. And for the next 2 years, I kept doing my job. I was in meetings and around him, and just acted as if, and just dealt with it and just pushed through. And after about 2 years, I was fully ingrained on the business side, and I realized there's a whole operation there that needs PR support, that needs publicity support and communication support. And I learned that side of the business for 2 years, stuff that I didn't know in the 10 previous years as being in the vacuum of the hockey team. So it opened my eyes to the fact that I can be of real value to the organization as a whole, and I don't need to be in that vacuum all the time. And then after 2 years, I got a call one day from that GM's office, and he asked to see me. And I went and met with him, and he acted like nothing had ever gone wrong with us. And he asked me to work on a project for him. And so I did. I jumped in with both feet, and I did the best job I could on it. And he was extremely happy with it. And from there, he and I rebuilt our relationship, and I got to go back into that world and lead that through 2 Stanley Cups, which was awesome. But what it taught me was 2 things. One, you have to be pliable, like Mark was touching on earlier. You have to be willing to evolve, change, go and learn other things, be willing to have your career go in a direction you don't expect it to go in. And then having that patience to go through that and stick with it, I think was extremely valuable. And then the last thing I'll say in relation to that is, because I went and spent that time and learned the business side of our organization inside and out, I was then given the opportunity that I'm in now. And I had the confidence of my leaders to bring me on board. And now I lead 6 departments. And it's because I know the entire business structure. I know the value that each department has to the other. And I wouldn't have known that stuff if I didn't use that difficult challenge to go and explore other things in the organization and make the most of it. And in the end, through patience, everything worked out for the best. And I couldn't be happier now than I've been in the 27 years I've been here. So, but that was a very difficult time and an immensely challenging time.
I think that's also a story of jealousy, because it's hard when you're as good looking as Michael is. I mean, it's tough. You know, people meet you at first and they're like, F this guy, he's too cool and good looking. And that was resentment. You know, that GM couldn't handle it. He had an ego and couldn't handle Michael being as badass as he is.
Well, he was a very complex guy, and he and I just didn't get off on the right foot. And I didn't earn his trust out of the gate, which I try to do with everybody. And over time, it worked itself out. And, you know, he and I had some unbelievable experiences together after we resolved everything, but it took some time. And I just needed to stay patient and continue to plow ahead.
No, I think that says a lot, because you won't always be liked in this industry, but you're not there to be liked. You're there because you love what you're doing. And then next, Christina, is there any obstacles in your career so far that sticks out to you that kind of shaped your mindset?
I could write a book on obstacles that I've gone through since getting to where I am, and I still have a ways to go. But I think one of the biggest things is keeping my composure and always being prepared, because one of the obstacles that I faced was to somebody saying, oh, look, like, what is she doing here? What does she know? Or who gave her a microphone? Or how could she possibly know about boxing? She's never boxed a day in her life. So, you know, those questions and things still continue to come up at times. But I think that if you're confident in your ability, if you're confident in your preparation, and you know what you're doing, you can overcome those obstacles, because it will show through the work, and that you're trying and you're genuinely there for the right reasons. I think all those things will come through and help you overcome those obstacles. But embarrassing, funny, not so funny story real quick. I was in a locker room doing an interview on live television with an athlete prior to his fight. I was the only woman in the locker room other than my makeup artist that was off camera to the side of me. And during the interview with the athlete, one of the team members pulled down his pants to try to moon me in the background while I'm doing my interview on live television. Would that have happened to one of my male counterparts? I doubt it, but they were trying to get a reaction out of me. They were trying to get a rise. They were trying to embarrass me. And to overcome, I mean, I just had to completely block that out, finish what I'm doing, carry myself professionally, thank him very much for their interview, walk out, find a way to compartmentalize whatever that obstacle is or that thing is, get through the task at hand, the job at hand. And then I got my car and I let it go and I cried about it. I'm not going to, shy away from that, because I felt like, why would they do that to me? What allowed me to, or them? I thought, what did I do to make them think that that was okay? But there's obstacles like that we face, even just being a woman in this industry, that you just have to try to keep your composure, keep your cool, be confident that you belong, and kind of work through it. Because those stories about things that happen to women and in the sports industry and stuff are really real. But if you know who you are and you know you're there for the right reasons and you put in the work, people will have your back. And they will go to bat for you if anybody questions anything. So that's important too.
Yeah, being an expert, like she touched on, is critical. Christina, I'm sure, does her homework, does her research, and is extremely prepared, because she has to be with the obstacles that are in front of her. And it's the same thing Mark was touching on with the Mannings. Like he knew that contract top to bottom and was able to have the confidence to go into that meeting and push his agenda because he had done his homework. He was ready, he was prepared, and he had the confidence to go and deliver the message in the manner that he did. So just that preparation, doing the homework, and being an expert as you walk into any situation is critical to the success.
Thank you so much for getting personal with us and sharing those stories that you had to overcome. I'm pretty sure those were very difficult moments in life. My last question that I have for you all, what is the best advice you've received during your career that's helped you get to where you are today? Mark, if you can go ahead and answer this question.
Yeah. Well, advice I got, I'll give you advice I got, but I'll give you advice I'll give. So advice I got was the internship thing, because it really did, I took it to heart, and I just got after it more than other people and I mean, think about that. I was with one of the top 4 PR agencies in the world, and arguably the most valuable and prominent sports organization in all of sports as my internships. Now, granted, pretty fortunate to have those things, but I wouldn't be where I am today without those 2 things, starting my journey. 2 things I'll tell you. One is be you, and wear it with pride and carry it like a flag in front of you. And I went back and said this when I was talking about interviewing and how I'm always looking to learn the personality traits, the things their mom and dad taught them, what's important to them. Whatever it is that is you, don't shy away from it. I don't care, nowadays, we deal with a lot of intolerance, whether it's sexuality, race, whatever it is. Do not shy away from who you are, and come in that front door with pride. That will come through. It makes a powerful statement to somebody. I mean, look at me. I'm full sleeve tattoo guy. And I walk into meetings, and 9 times out of 10, people are taken back a little bit, like, because they're expecting some corporate agency guy. But if I'm just the corporate agency guy, I'm almost an avatar, right? I'm not me. I'm just this kind of paradigm of what people expect me to be or what I think they want me to be. But where I'm at my most powerful is when I'm just purely and fully me. And so my advice to people is always, whatever those quirks are about you, idiosyncrasies, personality things, those are what's going to make you stand out and set you apart. And so be proud of those things. Have the confidence and the courage to wear it on your chest, carry it out in front of you, come in the door with it, because that's going to make you memorable. That's going to make you impactful, and it's going to differentiate you. And that's really critical, because a lot of people are trying to do what you're trying to do. So, but nobody can be you. Nobody can have those things and be who you are. So just make sure that that is kind of the tip of your spear. And that's what you enter situations with. Because I think at the end of the day, that uncompromising commitment to yourself is something that you can rest your head at night and sleep well and sleep peacefully and have peace of mind that you didn't just do it, but you did it your way.
Thank you, Mark. Michael, do you want to add to that question?
Sure. As far as advice I've received from someone else, I would say it's something that's become a mantra for me, and that's patience is power. Patience is most needed when it's exhausted. And in this industry, it's a tough industry to break into. It's a tough industry to grow higher and higher and gain reward. And it takes time and it takes patience. And so many entry-level employees come through here and get spit out very quickly because they're not patient and they're not willing to wait for the right opportunities to come their way. And the expectation of reward is something that seems to be immediate, and it just doesn't apply, I think, in this industry. It goes back to, sort of that old school mentality Mark touched on, that being willing to grind it out, being willing to go above and beyond, being willing to seek solutions for others, I think are key components to success. But in doing so, being patient and having that at the core of what you're doing will allow for ultimate success, I think, long term.
Thank you, Michael. Christina, do you want to add anything?
I feel like a broken record, but I can't help but continue to go by the adage of put the work in. People will sense the people that are not there to do the work and that just want to be there to meet a celebrity or be seen on a red carpet or get to be at a game or get to get an autograph or get their family tickets, or just they want to be on camera because they think that it's glamorous. Like, those people get weeded out as time continues to go on. But if you put the work in, people will recognize that, and they will know that you are there for genuinely the right reasons. And also, never stop learning. You can never know everything that there is to know about a given field. learn about the people that you work with, how to build those relationships better, your subject at hand, the sport as a whole. Go back and read a rule book, or go back to your journalism books and read about things that can only continue to build your wealth of knowledge, because that's something that nobody can take away from you. And those are all tools in your tool bag that will help to set you apart from the other people who just go in there and get used to or are comfortable with doing what they've done so long because they've gotten so many reps in. But if you continue to build, to learn, and that goes to putting the work in, I think that's the best advice that I can give you.
Let me say one more thing too. It's seemingly mundane, and hopefully everybody on this call is getting this hammered into them on a daily basis at school. Learn to write well. Okay. I cannot tell you how important and valuable written communication skills are going to be. It could be a cover letter, an email, whatever it is you're doing, it will make an impression. I'm in PR. You would think I'd have everybody coming in the door be capable of sentence structure and concise writing and all of these types of things. That is not the case. I spend a lot of time now in my 25th year doing this, rewriting press releases. And it's discouraging. And I just don't know that people invest enough in that skill. But written communication skill, I mean, and verbal as well, it's really important, but written communication, I feel like it's a dying art. So if you take the time and invest the time to get better at that, then props to you, because I just think it's invaluable.
I think that's awesome, Mark. I think that's brilliant advice for everyone here, that everyone here can invest in, is developing that skill. It is critical. All communication now is written. We hardly, like, thank God we have video chats now, but like for, texting, email, like there's just so much written communication. And if you're not skilled in that area, it sticks out pretty quickly. And it's not efficient. So being a good writer enhances efficiency.
Even drafting captions on Instagram or quotes on Twitter. If you're working in PR and branding, if you're representing a brand on their social media platform and you have a typo, you have something that's controversial, something that doesn't make sense, like it could be 2 sentences that could cost you your job. So to that point too, even on my platform and putting out something, if I don't put into context something correctly written in a caption about an athlete, like, it could be bad. So it goes anywhere from a full entire press release to a 2-sentence caption. If you're working for someone's social media or branding, that could cost you your job if you don't do it correctly.
Yeah, it's true. I am still copywriting for the organization. Even in my role, I'm writing because we don't have the skills underneath to provide it. So I do it because it has to be, I want to make sure it's done well and it's done right. And it's unfortunate we don't have a lot of skilled writers.
Thank you all so much for answering my questions and the advice that you gave out with those questions. I'm sure they will all be helpful to the students here. But now we're going to be opening up the floor to the questions from the students. Anyone out there, please feel free to leave any questions you have for them, and Caitlin will be asking them for you all.
Thank you, Taylor.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks, Taylor.
Hi guys. So my first question for you guys, I'm going to kind of combine 2 of the questions I received in chat. They're both from Noah Garcia and Mitzi Vasquez. Is there a specific trait you feel is necessary, that aside from just being generally well-rounded and kind of morphing into what you guys were talking about earlier with internships? How can someone stand out in their internship to receive that job offer? I will direct that to Mark.
All right. Well, I'm just going to parrot back a lot of things that have been said by all 3 of us on this call. One is, I think demonstrate that you're a grinder. Christina, she was a broken record, but for darn good reason, because you just got to show that you're willing to not just do the work, but to do more than the next person. There's just, again, I'd love to say that it's rocket scientry and there's some like super altruistic or spiritual thing you got to do, but it's not. My dad told Mike and I when we were kids, I love saying this quote, I say it all the time. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you dig ditches. be the best damn ditch digger there ever was. And it's just about putting in the work. That's what my dad was talking about, is grind. Be willing to do more than the next person, be willing to do more than is expected of you. Over deliver. I'm an agency guy. I keep clients long-term because we continuously over deliver on what they're expecting. Think about that in your life. If you over deliver for somebody, and if you exceed their expectations, I don't care what part of your life it is, that never ends up bad. And so to me, it's a really simple trait that any of us, doesn't matter, where you're from, how much money your family had, what school you go to or didn't go to, anybody can do that. And so that's first and foremost. And then the second thing, learn how to write well.
Definitely. Michael or Christina, did you guys want to add anything to that?
Michael, you can take if you have anything else about what you look for when people are interviewing with you. I think you're muted though.
Yeah, nothing on top of that. Specifically, just once you have your foot in the door, it is important to go above and beyond. Like Mark said, don't just do what you're assigned to do. Look for how you can take things to another level. Use your own curiosity. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to seek other ways of doing things. Just because you're given a directive, you certainly want to deliver what's being asked of you. But if there's a way through your own curiosity that you can make it bigger and better than it is because of your own instincts, you got to trust in that as well. And be visible. If you have the opportunity to work in an organization like Mark's firm or here at the LA Kings, like walk in the door, look as professional as you can, be on time, be visible. And be curious. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to go to leadership and inquire. Don't be afraid. You're in the door. You're in those offices. Don't be afraid to say, hey, could I schedule 15 minutes of your time to just pick your brain a little bit? And I always admire